All right, guys, let's head over to some EPL games. The first one goes on Saturday. It is Newcastle and Liverpool. The odds on this one, Newcastle United plus 142. The draw is plus 254. And Liverpool plus 183. Liverpool coming off a win on the weekend, a much-needed win over Everton, but I'm not sure that's righted the ship for them just yet. Kevin and I are going to look at this one. Listen, I think this is a really weird spot, obviously, for Liverpool. You look at them right now in the standings. I think they're somewhere between 9 or 10 points out of a Champions League spot. If they're resigning to the fact that they're not going to finish top four, which I think is very difficult at this point, unless they go on a phenomenal run, then they've got to put all of their eggs into this basket that is Champions League and try and win this competition to get into this competition next season. And they play in 3 days' time against Real Madrid. And we know how they fared with Real Madrid. Knocked out 2 years ago in the quarterfinals against Real Madrid, lost in the final last season to Real Madrid. And so they're a little bit of a revenge and maybe a little bit of looking ahead. I just don't see a lot of goals in this one. Again, I'm looking at an under. The money spends the same way as when you bet an over. The total here is 2.5. It is juiced a bit to the over, so you're getting the under at plus 110. And I think that's a good spot. This is a Newcastle team that have only allowed 13 goals, the best defensive record in the Premier League this season. At home, they've only allowed 6 in 11 games. Liverpool's only scored 11 in 10 games on the road. And Newcastle also have the EFL Cup game coming up in a week's time against at Wembley against Man United. So they've got something to look at as well, too. I'm not sure where Klopp's going with his lineup here. I got to think he's got to protect some of his players for that Tuesday fixture. Regardless, even with a full lineup, I don't see a lot of goals in this one. Under 2.5 at plus money for me in this one. Kev, where are you going?
I'm kind of splitting this one, Carmine, because, on the one hand, the scheduling aspect, which you mentioned, plus the data absolutely screams to take Newcastle in this spot at a straight pick-em line here on Saturday. The Magpies have been absolutely brilliant this season. They're almost 1.3 expected. They have a 1.3 expected goal differential advantage over Liverpool this season based on home road form splits. And obviously, they're the only team to still remain unbeaten on the year at home as well. But, I know Brian said a couple of weeks ago he was sucked into taking this position. I believe it was prior to the Wolves game, where Liverpool looked to have turned the corner. I don't want to speak too soon, but I was quite impressed with that Everton game from them. They looked as though they were playing with confidence. They had some brilliant link-up play as well to set up that first goal. A goal that almost, came down the other end with Everton. But Nunez blasted down the pitch and that counter-attack set up that opening goal for Salah. And, I thought Liverpool looked fairly dangerous throughout in that game. So, the last head-to-head between these two back in September very nearly finished in a draw. Liverpool got a very, very late 98th minute winner to snatch all 3 points in that one. But Newcastle played well in that game, just as I expect them to play well here as well. But can they play well enough to get the outright win? Of course they can, but I think it's going to be tough for them. I'm just not sure. Newcastle have the highest draw rate out of any team in the EPL this season at home. 46% of all their games inside St. James's Park this year finished up in a stalemate. And against the bigger clubs especially, they managed to narrowly squeeze out a 1-0 win against a really struggling Chelsea side back in November. And they played Manchester City to a draw here as well back in August. So that leads me to kind of believe Liverpool can actually get something from this game on Saturday. But by the same token, look, I'm not stepping in front of a Newcastle team that haven't lost a game at home all season and who have absolutely dominated the data charts over Liverpool this year as well. So I like the value in the outright draw on this one, plus 251. It's a big price. With games against, if Liverpool are, going to make a comeback in the league domestically, they've got games against Palace, Bournemouth, Fulham, all on deck over the next month. Manchester United, Anfield in there as well. So, Klopp's likely got easier 3 points to target in the league if he wants to make that run. Newcastle is a very tough place to go. So I think both teams would see a draw here with their schedule coming up, Champions League and that AFL final, as a reasonable result here. And yeah, because of that, the outright draw looks the most appealing bet for me at plus 251 on Saturday.
Yeah, St. James Park, Kev. It's not the easiest place for any visiting team, and you know that first the reverse fixture early last season. I think it was in round 5 of the season. Likely should have finished in a 1-1 draw. I think it was a 98th minute goal by Carvalho that got Liverpool the win. Basically, I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes of extra time, and they still win 8 minutes, and Liverpool gets the win in that one. But when you talk about scheduling, Newcastle's schedule coming up is a tough one as well too. Their game against Brighton, which was supposed to take place this coming week, next weekend, obviously is postponed because they've got the EFL one. But then after that, they've got a trip to play Man City, then home to Wolves, who are playing much better. They got Man United on the horizon as well, a couple of games after that. So it's not the easiest schedule for that team as well too. So they'll look to pick up points anywhere they can, and even a point here in this Liverpool one is probably a well-earned point for them.